Hi Year 12. This week you are going to be completing the rest of the short answer questions and the structured extended response from the 2021 CSSA trial, and I'm going to use this video to help you unpack the questions before you hand write your answers and upload them to the spaces that you can see. So I'm going to go through each of the questions, and what I would suggest is that you print this off and you annotate the questions, and then you have a go at answering them under timed conditions. So I'll give you some suggested times for each of the questions just to help you with your preparation. So the first question was question 22 from the paper, 22A, and this question is out of 3 marks. Now, as it is a 3 marker, you shouldn't really be spending more than about 5 minutes on this question under time conditions. So we'll go through the verb. So the verb is to outline, which means to sketch generally or sketch in general terms. Now, it's not as detailed as a description, but it does provide a bit of an overview or an overview of the general features. So it's asking you to outline the challenges that an employee, which is a worker, what challenges they may face when they're working in agriculture and fisheries. Now, we need to understand that agriculture and fisheries is a sector of the Australian food industry, and you need to understand what the different jobs are in order to answer this question. Now, as it's 3 marks and with all your questions, you need to have examples, and I would suggest that you put examples of different jobs within agriculture and fisheries to help you address the question. So you need to think, what would a challenge be if you are working in agriculture and fisheries? Now, employees within this sector usually can experience seasonal work. So there may be seasonal changes depending on when different crops are grown and when they're harvested. And work might not be, consistent throughout the year. There might be some seasonal variations and part-time or flexible working conditions, which might provide, economic challenges for a worker in this particular area. Also, if someone is working in this sector, they're relying upon geography, and the different weather patterns. So if they are a farmer and they're susceptible to different droughts or natural disasters, this might be something that you actually implement in your response to really focus on what those challenges are within this sector. So that is an overview of the first question, part A. Another question we are asking you to complete this week is part C of question 22, and it's asking you to describe. Now, when you describe, you are providing characteristics and features of, and you'll notice that the mark value for this one is slightly higher than the outline question because you are required to provide more detail. So you need to provide, as it's 4 marks, a few different characteristics and features. But it's asking you to describe the impact, and that is the effect of research and development activities on an organisation within the Australian food industry. So this question is really asking you to talk about one organisation. And we've done SPCR Mona in class, but you can definitely do Woolworths as well. And it's asking you to describe how research and development within the organisation has had an impact upon their activities and what they have chosen to do moving forward. So in answering this question, you really need to be clear about what R&D is. And if you don't know what that is, you need to go back to topic 1 for AFI and have a look at what research and development is. Remember that some businesses will actually employ external organisations like the CSIRO to conduct research and development for the business, and that is a very costly procedure or a very costly activity, but it does open up a lot of doors and it does uncover a lot for the business depending on what they're trying to do. So a lot of students also did Woolworths, so you might like to look at the R&D activities that organisation does, but you really need to talk about what that effect is. Okay, so even though the question is asking you to describe, you're using language of cause and effect because it's asking about the impact. So you would use some language like as a result, or this means, or consequently, and this is going to help you address that component of the question that's asking about the impact of R&D. So to answer this question, you really need to have a good understanding of one organisation, particularly the R&D initiatives, and how those initiatives have had an impact, perhaps on their product line or a product they've developed, perhaps on a packaging material that they've used, perhaps it's through the technology within the business, or maybe using, for example, for Woolworths, they've done a lot of R&D from COVID, looking at, I guess, different shopping times and updating their COVID app, or the app for Woolies, and different ways of distributing their food to consumers so it's COVID safe. They've got, you know, they've got a lot of initiatives at Woolworths that you might like to explore, but it's up to you which organization you choose. The next question that we are asking you to do is question 26, and this one overall is out of 9 marks, but we will go through each of these parts now. So part A, it's asking you about a particular case study. So it says a food manufacturer, which is a food business, they plan to develop a range of ready-to-drink meal replacement smoothies. So that is your case study, and you need to refer to this in your answer because this information is how you need to apply your knowledge to the question. It is out of 4 marks, so just keep that in mind. You should be developing at least 8 lines of information to adjust the question in enough detail. So if we actually look at what this question is involving, it says to propose. Now, when you propose, you are suggesting, okay? And you are you're putting forward. So what you are putting forward or suggesting is a suitable distribution system for the sale of this product. So again, you need to go back to topic 2, which is food manufacture, and have a look at what distribution systems involve. And you need to suggest a suitable distribution system for this particular drink, and it's a ready-to-drink meal replacement smoothie. So you need to think about, is it perishable? How would it be distributed safely? What sorts of temperature ranges? How is the shelf life? What's the most efficient way to actually distribute this? And where is it going to be distributed, and where is it going to be sold? So where is it going to go to? So in thinking about that, you also might like to think about things like HACCP or critical control points for the business, and the temperature danger zone. But you should go back to topic 2, have a look at distribution systems, and then see how you can apply your content knowledge to this particular question. All right, the last short answer for this paper that you need to complete is part B. So it says, how does product testing, so how alludes to that verb explain. So when addressing the verb explain, you should be using language of cause and effect. And this is going to help you show how and why. So it's saying, how does product testing contribute or help with the success of developing a new food product? So this is worth 5 marks. So again, you should be writing at least 5 lines of information and relating it back to the steps in food product development, which is really about testing a prototype. Okay, so when you test a prototype, how does that actually contribute to the success of a final product? And you really need to make sure that you're using that subject-specific terminology and referring back to the question and looking at different products. All right, the very last question that we are asking you to complete is the structured extended response. Now, keep in mind, this is the equivalent of an essay, and we do expect students to develop around 600 words, which is 4 to 6 pages of quality. Remember that you should be spending around 30 minutes of the exam time on this, and you would have to specifically indicate part A, B, and C for the marker, because remember, you're doing this in an extended response writing booklet, so there are no lines directly under these questions, but you really need to make sure that you are addressing the needs of the question under A, B, and C. So let's get started. To start with, you've been given a case study. So you've been given a case study, and this is what you are answering part A, B, and C in relation to. So it's saying there are a wide range of home delivered meal kits available in the marketplace. So basically it's asking about those meal kits that are delivered to your doorstep, and then you prepare the meal from home. And it's looking at things like HelloFresh. So again, this is a very on-trend kind of, process. And even with COVID recently, we've seen a company called Providore, and basically they're high-end restaurants in the city, and they sous vide some of their meals, and they give you all the ingredients and recipe cards so you can finish those meals off. But again, it's all about delivering the ingredients to the person and then finishing off the recipe or following a recipe card along. Everything's pre-measured. Everything has been packaged. There is instructions that are super clear, and sometimes companies have apps as well on different phones, systems, I guess, where you can actually scan the recipe card and then follow along the recipe at home. So we're answering this question in relation to this case study. Okay, so you should be really applying your content knowledge to the case study in relation to the questions. So, part A. Part A is asking you to outline, and outline means to sketch generally. So it's asking about a driver, which is a reason for food product development that has led to the popularity of this product. So what has led to this product being developed, and what has caused this product to be developed? So you should be linking back to your syllabus there. Okay, so consumer demands for convenience or market concerns for health. But you really need to think about what the most relevant one is and outline how that is relevant for this product range being developed. So there's just a few errors in terms of the marking here. This one should be worth 3 and this one should be worth 8. Okay, remember that the last part of the structured extended is always going to be out of 8. But in relation to this one, it is out of 3, so 6 lines really is sufficient to answer this question. Right, if we're going to part B, okay, we can see part B is worth 4 marks. So it's asking you to describe, which is to provide those characteristics and features of a quality control procedure that could be applied to guarantee freshness of the meal kits upon delivery to the consumer. So remember, quality control and quality assurance is all about keeping that food product of high quality so it's safe and so the customer isn't at risk of foodborne illness and so the ingredients are really fresh and of high quality. So I would mention here HACCP, and I would talk about the way that a business could make sure that that food is fresh by the time it gets to the consumer. So I'm going to let you think about that one, but obviously if there's a meal kit sitting on a doorstep for a few hours, what can they do to really make sure that it's safe? And it's supposed to be, 4 marks. So you really need to have around 8 lines of information and linking back to quality, control, procedure, freshness, and to meet consumer expectations, etc. So that is for question B. Now, if we have a look at question C, this is an 8 marker, okay? So it really should be up to around 2 pages because it is about half your extended response or your structured extended response. So part C is asking you to justify, which means to give reasons to support. So if you're writing 2 pages and if it's out of 8 marks, you really should have a range of different reasons. So it's saying justify the process of developing a prototype of this product prior to launch. So it's saying, why would this company need to develop a prototype or a sample of this particular idea during the stages of food product development? So to answer this question correctly, you would really need to unpack what a prototype is, what a prototype would look like, how it fits into the steps of food product development, and justifying why that stage is so important, and perhaps even leveraging into the testing part of it too, but just keeping in mind that the development of it is key, and how that looks, what that looks like for this business, and why before launching this product to the market, companies always need to have those tangible and physical models of the product so that they can test X, Y, and Z. Okay, so you definitely should be tapping into a bit of testing the prototype when you're talking about developing it and then testing it, because it is out of 8 marks. So that is the overview of the questions for this week 2, and we do expect you to handwrite all your answers. Make sure you're giving it a good shot. I would do them under time conditions. As I said, 30 minutes for this question, and I might just, make sure that you guys ask your teacher any questions if you have any about doing these particular questions. Good luck, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Zoom.